compulsory question. You're either supposed to pick, either supposed to write a semi-formal letter. You guys can chorus. A semi-formal letter, a formal letter, or an informal letter. Or you write a narrative essay, a descriptive essay, or an argumentative essay. Trust me, I did that. I do say so myself. But it didn't just start there. About 2 decades ago, almost 2 decades ago, I remember being in class, I think primary 2 at the time, and my teacher introduced us to composition as a subject, composition as an art, as anything really. And I remember that one of the tasks I had to do very early on at the time was to write a composition about how I spent my last holiday at my cousin's place in Abuja. I live in Lagos, by the way. I was so confused. Damn you, teacher. I've never been to Abuja before. I do not have a cousin in Abuja. Lies. I've never been to Abuja. I do not have a cousin that lives in Abuja. What am I supposed to write? I felt so confused, so lost. I was very unsure. I remember getting every day and complaining to my mom. I remember mentioning to her to say, oh, my teacher asked me to do this and this and this and that. And I was very unsure about how to go about that. I didn't want to tell lies. The day before that, we had gone to church, attended Sunday school. The Sunday school teacher told us not to tell lies. And here is my teacher wanting me to tell lies, in quotes. Or so I thought at the time. Until my mom said, oh, the composition writing is supposed to know how to put sentences together, how to tell a story, how to write, how to do all of those things, right? I had some pushbacks. I complained. I said, I do not want to do this. I still didn't feel very comfortable. And then she said, oh, well, you either had to do it. As a smart student who had been doing very well all the while, I didn't want it on my academic standards, so I had to do something. But I realized then, as I grew, I started to enjoy writing letters, to enjoy writing all of those things. It became something that I felt naturally comfortable with. In fact, even better than some of my subjects that I thought that were my best subjects. I became very good at composition, very good at essay writing. You tell me to write a letter to my local government chairman, telling them that they need to build a borehole in our streets. I'm sure, many of you must have done something similar, whether in junior WAEC, SSC WAEC examination. It became a natural advantage for me. It became something I felt very, very comfortable at. It became something I could do without thinking twice. I could just snap my finger and very quickly I'm able to compose something, and then the reader receive. That brings me to what I want to talk about today. The idea of leveraging your unfair advantage to becoming the version of you. Leveraging your unfair advantage to becoming the limitless version of you. And I'll be speaking on this using key ideas. Competitive advantage, for those of us that did economics in secondary school, I'm sure you must have heard that term, and you probably are very familiar with the term comparative advantage. You call it comparative advantage, or you call it comparative cost advantage. For economics, the second idea would be the principle of leverage. And for those of you that did physics or basic technology in JSS or J, would be the Matthew principle. For those of us that do philosophy and whatnot. Let's take it one after the other. Of comparative advantage particularly speaks to how, as an individual, you're supposed to leverage that you're a lot more better at. that you're a lot more comfortable at doing, something you can do very quickly, something you can do without, a lot better than the next person seated beside you, than your roommate, anybody really. Comparative advantage is what builds, or what makes nations become very, very great. Is what makes people become the great people that they are. He was writing, telling stories, writing essays, writing compositions, and all of those things. I remember how, even up until now, a microeconomic concept, financial terminology, what I try to do is to understand it from a point of storytelling. Who you're asking me as an investment, what I try to do is to understand the concept of derivatives from a storytelling point of view. And when I put the example, and you ask me for the definition of derivatives, I try to answer that question using storytelling as a tool. And it's become very, very effective for me from the very point that I figured this out, even to this very moment. I mean, I still write exams. It's the same thing when you also look at the lives of some of the really, really amazing people that we have in the world today. You look at the lives of a Lionel Messi, a Cristiano Ronaldo. For the guys in the house, I'm not sure who your greatest of all time is, but for the sake of this study, I wouldn't mention who mine is. But something is sacrosanct in the lives of these two people. They've consistently leveraged their comparative advantage. They've been very careful enough to double down on their, as against wanting to compete on their weakness. And it's been very helpful to help them become limitless. You would agree with me that Cristiano Ronaldo, for instance, is very, very athletic, is very, very strong, is very, very agile, is a lot taller than Messi. And he's doing fantastically well in his own lane. Messi, on the other hand, is short football. I'm sorry. I think he's just about 5'7" inches tall. This same Messi is very, very dribbling. Like it seems like a natural skill. When Messi catches the ball, he dribbles his way around and then does what he needs to do. That's his comparative advantage. But the interesting thing you see here is that Messi didn't try to be Ronaldo. Ronaldo didn't try to be Messi. But still, the whole world still knows that, or the whole world acknowledges that these people are individually remarkable. They are individually good. They are extra good when it comes to football. It's almost impossible today to talk about football without mentioning Cristiano Ronaldo or without mentioning Lionel Messi. And that's because both of them have leveraged their comparative advantage. They've leveraged what they are very, very good at. They've leveraged on their most important strength, as against wanting to be worried about their weakness and wanting to compete on their weakness. And that's why I'm charging you today. Whatever goal that you set for yourself, if you want to become limitless, if you want to achieve those objectives, you need to take a seat back, look at your comparative advantage. What's that thing that I do effortlessly? What's that thing that I'm very, very comfortable at? I mean, the other time, Timsy was here speaking about how his comedic activities has been helping him do very well in his academics because, I mean, he's able to relate to these things. He could remember some of these terminologies whenever he's in the exam, because he's been able to make videos, make content from those lessons that his lecturer or consultants must have taught him in class. Chisom was here the other time telling us about how she's now very comfortable with doing analytics engineering. You need to take a seat back, look at yourself, think through properly. What thing I'm very, very comfortable at? How can I become who I want to become? But by leveraging my most important skill. It's interesting how the lies that I tell back then, in quotes, I mean, I wouldn't want to say I tell lies now, but I now write a lot of compositions, a lot of essays, a lot of letters. That makes it feel very, very original. Every Monday for the past couple of years now, I send emails to over 1.6 million people. Every Monday morning at 9 a.m., you'll be sure to get the email. So many people do not even know that it is so good. And I just log into Twitter or X now, and I see people saying, I just got this mail. They send the screenshots. They talk about how it makes them feel, how they feel very, very this, very, very that. I send emails to over 60,000 people. You can be sure to get that email every Saturday, all through the year. And I keep hearing people say, oh, these people know that I'm the one that sent this one. And people come to say, they respond to the email to say, oh, before this email, I've been very depressed. I've been content creation, right? For me, it was looking for different platforms where I could always